Hello students, this is Pallad Darbari, your host, and you are watching Pallad Darbari classes. In this video, we will discuss the second chapter of the microeconomics of class 11th. The topic that we will discuss today is the law of diminishing marginal utility, exception to the law of diminishing marginal utility, and indifference curve. Before everything, firstly, we should discuss the meaning of marginal utility. We will see the definition. It is the additional satisfaction that the consumer derive after consuming additional unit of that commodity. So what is marginal utility? It means additional satisfaction which a consumer derive after consuming additional unit of a commodity. Mathematically, it can be represented as change in total utility, that is total utility minus formal total utility. There are two ways of representing marginal utility. It can be represented through the schedule. It can also be represented through the graph. Let us see. Through the schedule, we can see the number of X commodities given, total utility is given, and the marginal utility is also being given over here. Let us see how you calculate the marginal utility. Difference in the total utility earlier, when we are not consuming anything, the total utility might be zero. So when we consume 1 unit of a commodity, the utility is 50. Then we consume 2 unit, the total utility becomes 100 and so on. Let us see the marginal utility. When we consume first unity commodity, the marginal utility is 50 minus 0. When we consume 2 unit, then the marginal utility is 100 minus 50, that is 50. When we consume 3 unit, it will be 130 minus 100, that is 30 and so on. So here we can say what is marginal utility. It means we can see change in total utility. So marginal utility tells the change in total utility, delta TU. Graphically, it can be represented like this one: A, B, C, D, E, F. So graphically, we can see that the marginal utility is falling down. Earlier also we have seen that as we consume more and more unit of a commodity, marginal utility is falling down. Fine. In the graph also we can say that the marginal utility is falling down. It becomes negative, it becomes zero, it becomes negative. And in the previous video we have seen when the marginal utility is zero, total utility is at its maximum height, that is point of saturation. Now let us discuss the law of diminishing marginal utility. Firstly, we will see the meaning. The law states as more and more unit of a commodity are consumed, the marginal utility derived from the consumption of additional unit of a commodity is declining. So it is being said that when a consumer is consuming more and more unit of a commodity, the satisfaction which he derive from the consumption of the additional unit is keep on falling. The law of diminishing marginal utility states that as a consumer consumes more and more unit of a commodity at succession means when a consumer is consuming the commodity in continuation, then marginal utility derived from the consumption of each additional unit is falling down. So important thing over here is that the commodity should be consumed in succession, fine, without a time break, and we should also consume the same unit of same quality of the commodity. Now the $1,000,000 question is, who invented the law of diminishing marginal utility? Question is, who invented the law of diminishing marginal utility? Let us see. Initially, the law was propounded by Hermann Heinrich Gaussen. He is Hermann Gaussen. The law of diminishing marginal utility is also called Gaussen's first law of consumption. Why? Because it was propounded by Hermann Heinrich Gaussen. According to him, the law says that the marginal utility of each homogeneous unit decrease as the supply of unit increases and vice versa. The law was systematically framed by Alfred Marshall. So in the question, if they ask you who propounded the law, then the law of diminishing marginal utility was propounded by Gaussen and systematically framed by Alfred Marshall. Just to pay respect, just to pay homage, this law is also called Gaussin's first law of consumption. Now let us see the assumptions of the law of diminishing marginal utility. The first assumption is standard unit and reasonable size of unit. Remember one thing, the law will only be applicable when we consumed the quantity, when we consume the commodity in standard unit. What it means? It means, suppose if we are consuming a tea, we should consume a cup of tea, not a spoon of tea. The law will not be applicable when we are not consuming the commodity in standard unit. Second assumption is we should consume the thing in continuation. Otherwise, the law will not be applicable. Here it is written successive consumption. The next assumption is we should consume the same type of the commodity. The commodity that we are consuming should be homogeneous in nature. Next is the consumer should be a rational person. He should know what to consume and not to consume. The next is there should not be change in the taste and preference of the consumer. While consuming the commodity, the taste and the preference should not change. The last one is the utility, the satisfaction which we are deriving should be measurable. Otherwise, how can we know, how can we tell that the marginal utility is falling down? So it should be measurable. Otherwise, it is impossible to tell that the utility is falling down. Now let us discuss all the assumptions in detail. The first is standard unit and reasonable size of units. A consumer consumes only a standard unit of the commodity. For example, a whole of an apple and not a half of it. Similarly, glass of water, not a spoon of water. Next assumption is successive consumption. What it means? Consumption of the successive unit of the commodity takes place continuously without any time lag. This is because if the consumption takes place with a time lag, say an hour or a week, the consumption of one unit of the commodity takes place today. Consumption of the second unit takes place after 1 week. Then in the next week, the consumer will start a fresh valuation of the utility. So when the time lag will be there, then the utility will start from the fresh valuation. So the law is impossible to be applied. Next is homogeneous unit. The law also assumes that the quality of the commodity remains the same throughout the process of consumption. In other words, all the unit of the commodity should be homogeneous and identical in shape, size and color, etc. Next assumption is rational consumer. The law is applicable only if the consumer is a rational human being. That is, he should make rational consumption decision. I should consume or I should not consume. Next assumption is no change in consumers' tastes and preferences. There is no change in the taste and preference of consumers. Next is utility can be measured. The law only holds if the consumer is able to express his utility in terms of utils. If we can measure the utility, only then we come to know that the marginal utility is falling, is decreasing. If we can't measure, we can't tell that utility is falling. Now let us discuss the exceptions to the law of diminishing marginal utility. Now we will see where the law is not applicable. First is in the case of money. In the case of money, the law is not applicable because if you start earning, you want to earn more and more money. You will not be tired of earning the money. You always want to earn more and more and more and more. Your lust will keep on increasing. Knowledge. The passion of attaining the knowledge will never fade. You acquire the knowledge, your hunger to acquire more and more knowledge is keep on increasing up. So here also the law is not applicable. Next is in the case of liquor and cigarette, the law is not applicable. The person who is having a habit of booze or who booze a lot will want to keep on consuming drink. want to keep on consuming liquor. He will not be fed up. In the case of hobbies, the person is deriving pleasure when he is getting the things of his hobbies. So his desire, his hunger for the hobbies keep on increasing. He never be satisfied. Next is listening music. If the person is having the habit of listen music, he want to increase the music, more and more music he want to listen. The desire to listen music will never fade. So the law is not applicable over here as well. Let us discuss all the exceptions over here. First is money. The law of diminishing marginal utility fails in case of earning money. Due to the greed of earning money, people tend to earn as much money as they can. Next is knowledge. The law also fails to false. The law also fails in case of acquiring knowledge. An individual feels more and more pleasure when he acquire more and more education. So law is not applicable. The consumption of such product like liquor and cigarette violates the law. This is because the people always want to have more and more cigarette. Next is hobbies. Hobbies such as jewelry collection by women, stamp collection, old coins, antiques, etc. violates the law. This is because every additional unit of the additional utility tends to increase. With every jewelry, the thirst, the hunger for new jewelry is increasing. With every new stamp, you want to have more and more new stamps. Listening music and poetry. In the initial phase, listening of music and reading good poems again and again violate this law. However, after a certain limit, listening the same music and reading the same book again and again makes an individual bore. So at the initial stage, the law is not applicable. But later on, the law will be applicable. Now we will discuss the next topic, that is what is indifference curve in economics. Firstly, we will see the meaning. An indifference curve is a graphical. Indifference curve means what? It is a graph or graphical presentation showing different combination of two goods that gives equal satisfaction and utility. Each point on the indifference curve indicates the equal satisfaction. The question is, who developed the indifference curve? The theory of indifference curve was developed by Edgeworth, who explained in his book 1881, the book of mathematics, indeed for his drawing. Later on, Pareto was the first author to actually draw these curves in his book in the year 1906. Later on, Hicks and Allens used the indifference curve to determine consumers' equilibrium. So it is being developed by Edgeworth and later on developed by Pareto, but used in the consumer equilibrium by Hicks and Allens. In the graph, I try to explain you what the indifference curve tells us. The points on the indifference curve, that is A, B, and C, shows different combination of two goods, that is A and that is apple and bananas. So the points on the indifference curves shows equal level of the satisfaction. I mean, when at the point A, 14 apples and 20 bananas will be there. Suppose the satisfaction which he derives when he consume 14 apples and 20 banana, suppose the satisfaction is 100 utils. The same 100 util satisfaction he will derive when he purchase or when he get 10 apples and 26 bananas. The same satisfaction he will get when he consume 9 apples and 41 bananas. So indifference curve shows the combination of two goods giving equal line of satisfaction. So indifference curve is a curve showing different options giving same level of satisfaction to the consumer. And we can see over here, when we increase the consumption of one commodity, the consumption of another commodity should be decreased. Otherwise, the consumption level will decrease or will be disturbed. Now let us discuss the properties of indifference curve. Indifference curves are downward sloping to the right. Downward sloping to the indifference curve to the right indicate what? It means that in order to increase the consumption of one commodity, it is downward sloping from left to right. So downward sloping indicates what? It means that in order to increase the commodity of Y, the commodity of in order to increase the consumption of X, the consumption of Y is being sacrificed. So that is why we can say it is downward sloping. Otherwise, the same level of satisfaction cannot be attained. Let us see what is being written over here. Downward slope of the indifference curve to the right implies that a consumer cannot simultaneously have both the goods. I mean, at the same time, they can't consume both the goods. Otherwise, the level of the satisfaction will be changed. An increase in the quantity of one with the decrease in the quantity of other. This is accordance with the assumption. Fine. That is monotonous consumptions. We will discuss this monotonous consumption later on. Let us discuss another property, that is slope of indifference curve. The slope of indifference curve, this slope is being determined by the marginal rate of substitution. In the production chapter, we have seen marginal rate of transformation. In the consumer chapter, we are having marginal rate of transformation. It means how much commodity consumer is sacrificing in order to increase the consumption of one commodity. That is marginal rate of consumption. That is sacrificed divided by gain. So marginal rate of substitution refers to the rate at which consumer is willing to substitute one goods for each additional unit of the commodity. So because of marginal rate of substitution, the indifference curve is sloping down. Let us discuss the next property, the shape of indifference curve. Remember one thing, the shape of the indifference curve is convex. We can see it is convex. The question, why it is convex? Because the marginal rate of substitution is falling down. Let us see. As we move down along the indifference curve to the right, the slope of indifference curve is decreasing. We can say that the slope of indifference curve is decreasing. On one hand, the marginal utility of the good which is sacrificed rise. It means that the consumer is willing to sacrifice less and less for each additional unit of the commodity. It means that in order to increase the consumption of one commodity, less and less unit is being sacrificed, because of which marginal rate of transformation, marginal rate of substitution is decreasing. As a result, the shape of the indifference curve is convex from the origin. Now let us discuss the next property, that is two indifference curve never touches each other. Remember one thing, every indifference curve represent different line of satisfaction. For example, this indifference curve shows 100 level of satisfaction, and this indifference curve line shows 90. And remember one thing, 90 and 100 cannot be equal. Since these two level of satisfaction is not equal, so it is impossible to say that the two indifference curve will intersect, because 100 and 90 is not equal. So this particular line shows 90 level satisfaction, and this indifference curve shows 100 level of the satisfaction. Since they are not equal, so the indifference curve will never intersect. That's all we have in this video. Thanks for watching. God bless you all.